I'm out of frame. God damn it. You probably read the title, and I bought a 265K. Now, many guys are probably asking me, why? Why would you spend money on a already dead on arrival platform where, you know, every CPU on the lineup is so painfully mid at everything it does, and it's just objectively is a strong word, but it kind of is, just worse at literally every other CPU on both sides at just everything. But my counter argument to that is that a CPU is never actually bad, it's just a bad value at a certain price. And if you lower that price just enough, you can consider it to be a good value, and if it's good value enough, you can consider it to be a good CPU. Now, am I coping really hard at the fact that I paid $240 for the CPU and then another $240 for a motherboard? Yes, I am coping really hard in that, realistically, that this platform may die within the next generation, and I may have just wasted like $500 on a platform that just kind of sucks, honestly. Boom, B-roll shot. Look at that shit. Look at this shit. Look at that. This is so beautiful. I don't fucking know. So yeah, $240 before tax for, you know, basically a brand new CPU from Micro Center. Which is, you know, I don't really know if that's a good thing or not. Like, literally at launch, Micro Center was already discounting these CPUs to like $300 brand new, when normally brand new they're like $400. So yeah, I don't really know how this is going to turn out. And then also, they also had a open box Z870 motherboard, which I'm assuming the guy who first bought this probably bought this, and they said, oh wow, it's shit, I don't like it, so I'm just going to return it. So, more savings for me, so that's really cool. And this is actually a very nice motherboard too. Like, has 5 gig LAN, which is cool, but it's not 10 gigs, so that doesn't really matter. That's Thunderbolt 4 on it. Good shit. God, wow, that is a beefy board. Oh my god, that is... What the fuck is... Oh my god, that's so fancy. There's a button to, like, release the fucking PCIe slot. Okay, I understand why this was an expensive board. Holy shit. Man, I'm actually kicking out over this board. Holy shit, this is actually a really nice board. So now we just install the CPU. I'm not gonna move the camera, but I guess I can move the thing closer. We just move the thing, and then we just plop that sucker in, we just close that up, and then we're done. So now we get to the part of this video where I just do a voiceover, because this is all the footage I had when filming this, and I'm currently too lazy to film anything else, so here we are. Now, I had originally filmed this back in late December, early February, I don't really remember when exactly, but now it is currently early February as we're recording this, so I guess we should just go into the question that no one really asked, which is, well, how is the CPU? Honestly, it's actually pretty good. Now, to give context, I was originally coming from an i7-13700, which sadly was suffering from stability issues, and I wasn't able to get a warranty because I had originally pulled it from a used Dell pre-built, so I was kind of left on my own. Now, the quote-unquote smart solution to this problem would have been to just, I suppose, side grade to an Intel i9-12900 of some variant, because 12th gen remains mostly safe from Intel voltage issues, as far as I know, and, you know, performance-wise, it's about the same, if not slightly better than my 13700, so I guess it would have been, you know, a pretty good plan, and that was the original plan, but since I'm currently making this video at this moment, that's clearly not what happened. Alright, enough about that. How is the CPU? Honestly, for my needs, it's actually pretty damn good. Now, before anything else, I want to make it clear that my main priority for my computer is first to just be a fast computer for daily use, web browsing, typing documents, all that normal boring stuff. And second is to be a good workstation for all my school projects, which mainly involves 3D modeling and rendering, mainly in Maya and in Unreal Engine 5. Which for the most part, especially in Maya, mainly depends on the CPU to basically do anything. And And then in third place, well, it's gaming, which is probably the thing most people actually give a shit about. But the thing is, these days, I really don't play that many games. And the games I do play are not that hard to run. I mostly just play JRPGs that are just console ports, the occasional AAA single player game like Final Fantasy and Ghost of Tsushima, Gunner Games 3 and 4, and sometimes I may hop onto Helldivers with friends, but that's really about it. And with my monitor being a 1440p ultra wide, the CPU, while it does matter, it doesn't really matter. And then there's another, I suppose, quote-unquote issue when talking about gaming on this chip, which is the fact that I'm still running a 2080 Ti. Now, don't get me wrong, this is still a very good card in the year of 2025, but problem is, it doesn't really show how well the 265K is doing in terms of gaming. I really can't tell if it's doing a bad or good job, because in almost every single game I do play, I'm basically GPU bound or I'm frame capped at 60 FPS. So I really don't know what I can say here. But for what it's worth, it's not doing worse than my 13700 when that thing was still working. So as far as I can tell, it's doing completely fine. A small side note I want to put into this video is actually RAM when I was building this computer. So when I was rebuilding my computer, I got a Corsair 96GB kit of RAM that was spec'd for 5600 megatransfers per second at CL40. But when I was in the BIOS of this MSI Z870 Tomahawk, blah blah blah, I really don't remember the name, I learned that there was a feature called Memory Triad, which I had no idea was a thing, but apparently it was just a quick and easy way to just apply an overclocked profile to your RAM, I guess. And so I said, you know what, fuck it, let's actually try it. So I set it to 7200 at CL34, and to my surprise, it booted into Windows, and it was showing that I was running at 7200, and it's been running stable ever since, with a small little itty bitty asterisk that's not really that itty bitty. We'll talk about that later. Now, to be fair, like any other easy mode version of overclocking, I'm sure there's something I could do it to make it better, but I have no idea what the fuck I'm doing in terms of RAM overclocking. And so here's the timings that show up in CPU-Z. You can tell me whether or not they're shit or not. Someone on Reddit will probably not find this video, but if someone does, they'll probably tell me it's shit. So now getting back to that little asterisk I mentioned earlier, when I was first building this computer and booting into Windows, I noticed that it would just randomly freeze and just hang there. Like, it wouldn't blue screen, but it just wouldn't do anything. So I just had to like force shut it down and then turn it back on, and it would just run fine. And I checked the logs and nothing would show, so I really don't know what the hell is going on there. But after doing a fresh Windows install, it hasn't done it ever since, so it was probably a driver issue, but I'm not really sure. But I just find it weird that it did that. Also, another issue I had is actually with the motherboard's BIOS, and the fact that sometimes it just wouldn't actually save the settings I set. Like, it would save it, but then after I reboot the computer or like turn it off for like an extended period of time, it would just reset the defaults, and I really don't know why, but it just did. And looking online, there does seem to be others who also have this issue with this motherboard, but there also doesn't really seem to be an actual legitimate solution to this. Now, it hasn't been resetting itself that much as of lately, so whenever I did restart my computer, luckily the settings would still save. So I really don't know what the hell's going on here. I have not applied a BIOS update, so fuck if I know. But that's really about the only issue that I've had ever since I switched to this platform, and honestly that's more of a motherboard issue than an actual CPU issue. Probably. But overall, while I can understand the disappointment of Intel Arrow Lake's, lineup of chips, honestly, I didn't find it all that bad. It actually fit my use case very well, while also running much cooler than my old 13700 ever did. But then again, I feel like almost any CPU would run cooler than 13 and 14th gen, so I'm not going to give it that many points there. So now this leads into the question of, well, do I regret getting this CPU? Honestly, despite the BIOS issues I've been having, I'm actually quite satisfied with it, and for the price that I got it, I really can't complain. And now here's another question. Would I recommend the CPU to others? While I would like to, no, I cannot recommend the CPU to others, like, at all. Because here's the thing, I genuinely do believe that this is actually a very good CPU, but it's kinda dragged down by a very bad price. Unless you're buying a Micro Center, maybe there's an argument that can be made here, especially if you need a computer that's good on multi-core workloads, but if not, it really doesn't make any sense to get. Okay, well, ignore the potato-ass, video quality right now. My normal big fancy Sony camera is working with OBS right now, so we're just gonna have to deal with what it is. But anyways, yeah, that's where was I going with this? But despite everything I just said, I'm still gonna use this CPU because A, I bought it, and 2, like, it's still a pretty good CPU, but it's just so painfully mid at mostly everything. It does excel a bit in productivity tasks. For me, that's mostly 3D modeling and rendering and some Unreal 5 stuff, but like, other than that, it's just not that great. RAM overclocking seems to be pretty good, unless the kit RAM I have is just really good, or like everyone is able to do that and I just didn't know. Yeah, I just really can't recommend this CPU to others unless you can get like really cheap and like probably about the same deal as I have, if not like cheaper, like $250 for the CPU and like $150 for a board, which I think B series boards are coming out, which I don't really know, but you know, maybe good deals, I don't really don't know. But all in all, like, hopefully I still end up using this CPU for another 3-4 years, and hopefully, you know, the platform doesn't die out within just this generation, and hopefully, you know, it just doesn't shit the bed with, you know, by the end of the year, because, you know, I don't know, Intel things, I really don't know. And you can probably tell, I'm hoping for a lot of things here, but, you know, I have belief that, you know, it won't suck down the line, and, you know, that's really all I can do. I bought into this platform, I'm kind of stuck into it. I mean, yeah, I could always resell it and, you know, go to AM5, but, like, that's just a waste of money and time, and honestly, you know, it does everything I need it to do fine, and that's really all I can ask out of it. So, you know, all in all, I really don't regret buying the CPU. I mostly did it just to be funny, honestly, because, you know, when I posted a picture of me buying it to all my friends, they looked at me and like, you are a fucking moron. Why would you do that? I don't understand you. And I was like, and this made my day. But honestly, yeah, I kind of just bought it for the meme of me having to be stuck with Intel Arrow Lake, but then it is what it is. But honestly, at this point, I'm kind of just yapping. I really don't have much else to say. This video in general is kind of boring. I'm realizing that as I'm editing this right now. And hopefully the next one is going to be less boring. But I have like nothing in the pipeline right now. So who really knows? But yeah, I can't really make any promises. Much like Intel. But yeah, bye.